Hello and welcome. This is James Blanchard Cisneros at your service. Today I'll be reading the July 27th Daily Inspirational Message, the condensed version. It's 2 paragraphs long. Then I'll center myself, say a little prayer, and then make a few comments on the message. And if you find the message of use, please be so kind as to like the video. Thank you for that. Here we go. The title: Ending Our Support of Judgment and Self-Judgment. Paragraph 1. A large part of what we consider to be our belief system is not actually ours. It is simply a fairy tale that we have been programmed by the ego to believe as true. We have been taught by those who were taught from the same faulty foundation. Thus, many of the foundational principles that we hold as true are built on sand, not rock, which is why we feel so off balance, confused, and conflicted in this world. When we react to God's creations through the ego's fairy tale characters of judgment, frustration, anger, resentment, and hate, these simply show us that our mind remains asleep to the loving, non-judgmental truth within. Today, let us practice awakening to the truth within. We do so by answering with non-judgment, mercy, and grace when the ego demands judgment. In doing so, we close the book on the ego's fairy tale and return home to the state of peace. Paragraph 2. Today, let us remember that when we are judging self or others, it is not the truth in us doing so. Judgment is a sign that our program or ego self is in control of our thinking. If the ego is in control of our thinking, then it is in control of our mind and life. As long as we allow the ego to think for us, our true self will remain asleep. How many more judgment-centered nightmares must we experience before we realize that the ego's way of thinking is not working for us? How much longer must we travel down the same dead-end roads of frustration, anxiousness, anger, resentment, hate, and revenge before we realize that none of these behaviors represent our eternal loving essence and nature? Today, by choosing to deny the ego's demands for judgment, we realign with the truth within, with non-judgment, forgiveness, love, mercy, and grace. All right. Ending our support of judgment and self-judgment. Okay, today I'm going to offer 5 points that I trust will assist both of us in the implementation of today's daily inspiration. Point number 1. Let's set the foundation. The foundation is that God is love. God is all. Therefore, love is all. Therefore, the truth in us can only be that love. A reflection of this love is such emotions or expressions as forgiveness, compassion, mercy, and grace, which is the opposite of what the ego's programming says. It says to judge self and others, and then feel guilty for judging. The ego says judge, and then feel guilty for judging. Judge yourself, and then feel guilty for judging yourself. And so, in point number 1, we recognize what's true, this love. And we start to see what's false, the ego's judgment-centric mindset. Point number 2, let us recall that because our truth is all, the ego's ideas of judgment and condemnation and self-judgment and self-condemnation are nothing. They're not real, they're not true. It's only a program that we have been taught as true. It's kind of like when we're a little kid and we read a fairy tale over and over again. And we start to believe this fairy tale. And that's all it is. Judgment and self-judgment are not what we're here for. They're not true aspects of ourselves. They're simply part of the delusion that we're here to forgive and let go and erase and lead others to the truth in them, which is forgiveness, compassion, mercy, and grace. Okay, so that's point number 2. This here is nothing. This here is all. This here is truth. This here is delusions. We're not here for this. This is never going to bring us peace of mind and joy. Only being who we were created by God to be will bring us peace of mind and joy. This will never fulfill us. This fulfills us because this is what we were created to do. Point number 3. Again, none of the ego's tools and mindset represent the truth in us. They don't represent anything that we're here to be or share. And so when we're doing them, when we're acting in a judgmental, condemnation kind of way towards others or self, we're not doing what we were created by God to do. And so we're always going to feel like there's something left to do. That there's an emptiness to it. There's a guilt and shame to it, which is also expressions of the ego's mindset. And so let us remember that the ego's judgment-centric mindset does not represent us, the truth in us, nor what we're here to do or share with others. Point number 4. If we build our world on the ego's mindset, judgment-centric mindset, then we're building a world on sand. And that's where we feel off balance, off-centered, confused, conflicted, chaotic, fearful, afraid, when we're acting through the ego's mindset, judgment-centric mindset. And so when we're doing that, let us recognize that we're doing that because we've simply been programmed to do that. But that's not what we're here for. We'll never find that solid foundation if we're building the sandy pillars of the ego's mindset and tools of judgment, frustration, a lack of trust in the divine design, resentment, hate, shame, guilt. Those are the sandy pillars of the sandy foundation of the ego's mindset, judgment-centric mindset. And so we're never going to find a true home there. And so if you feel homeless while you're expressing those emotions, there's a reason why. If you do not feel at home, solid, steady, when you're expressing that, because you're buying into the ego's fairy tale is true. That's point number 4. Let's not build our world on the sandy foundation and pillars of the ego's mindset. And the last point number 5, is the way to remove ourselves from the delusional mindset is simply to do the opposite of what it demands. So when the ego demands judgment of self or others, let us do the opposite of what it demands. Let us forgive self or others. Let us show compassion. Let us show understanding, mercy, and grace. And those ways we remove ourselves from the fairy tale, and we can close the book on the fairy tale and return to a true nature, to which is to be a light, a loving light in this world. And some of those expressions, as we mentioned before, are forgiveness, compassion, mercy, and grace. And when we do so, we take back control of our mind. When we align with the truth within us, we are taking back control of our mind, because if we're aligned with the ego and judging self or others, it's not the truth in us that's doing that. It's the ego's mindset that is in control of our own mind. And so if the ego's mindset is in control of our own mind, then it's in control of our life. And that's why we feel like zombies falling, that whenever we're acting in that manner, whenever we're using the ego's tools to interact with our brothers or sisters or ourselves. And so let us remember, these are the ego's mindset and tools, judgment-centric mindset, are just dead end roads. It leads us nowhere we want to be. It doesn't lead us to a true destination, which is just a state of peace, which is just to align with the loving light in us and express that loving light to our brothers and sisters. And so let us simply, in point number 5, do the opposite of what it demands. It demands judgment of others. We forgive others. We thank them for the practice of leaving the delusion. The more times we leave the delusion and come back to the truth within us, the more natural and normal the state of mind becomes. And then the easier it is to respond with the state of mind, with love, with forgiveness and compassion and mercy and grace, instead of the ego stories. And so when we find ourselves in that mindset, let us simply recognize when we're there, stop that line of thinking, stop supporting it with our time, focus, and energy, return to the truth within us, and then think, say, and do only what love would think, say, and do. And that's point number 5. Thank you very much for your time. I love you very much. And God willing, we'll see each other tomorrow. Peace.